Okay guys, here we are for another two-man queue with the LOL armor deck, and been liking some of the changes. We just coming off a win here against red-black zombies. Gonna be on the play. His hand looks just fine, and we'll find out what we're up against here. Now there we could have played Hallowed Fountain and then dropped Glacial Fortress again this turn or the next turn, and then not taking damage, but I wanted to have access to Geist on turn 3 for sure. And now they're up against blue-white-red control most likely. Just fine with that. Here we are going to want to go ahead and drop down probably the Inquisitor. Well, I mean, we could drop Knight, but I kind of like the Inquisitor just because it does do pretty well against Pillar of Flame if we have it, you know, any of our enchantments. So if we have, as an example, you know, if we have one Exalted Armor or Ethereal Armor and push it past it, of course it does still die to Charm. And actually, since we've got Geist in hand, you know, I think I'm just going to play the Knight instead. It's a little bit weaker, and if we are going to be losing creatures here with either Supreme Verdict or Terminus, probably better to save the Inquisitor for later. So never mind. Kind of while he's thinking here, just to give you some idea, sideboard plan here is to bring in 4 Curiosity, 3 Rest in Peace, Nevermore, cut the Knights of Glory, Sensory Deprivation, and Bonds of Faith. So we have some nice cards we can move into and really make ourselves more kind of set up for control. I think that you know, blue, white, red has been very powerful. Okay, I guess we're up against Bant control also, which performed very, very well, and many of the same rules apply here. It's got a little bit of a bigger creature base, of course, but you know, he really only has about, I guess, the Thragtusks, the 2 Angels, and then also Centaur Healer to get in the way. So here still just attacking with Knight and then dropping Geist. Now I'm not sure on the Bant control list how many Supreme Verdicts and Terminus he runs, but I think it's largely Supreme Verdict in this deck, not having as many Terminus, though I could be wrong. See if I can pull up a list here. Over the board. So here this is probably Verdict, which is unfortunate, but kind of have to expect it. We could have dropped Fortress there and done Azorius Charm into turn, draw a card. Probably would have been fine. Just kind of want to smooth out the mana, and I think it won't really matter if we play that this turn or next turn. This is probably Thragtusk, yeah. And Deprivation's actually pretty good against Thragtusk. Hey guys. Alright, so here... yeah, we're just going to go ahead and draw a card and see what we pick up. And we'll just sit. Now, this version may also be running, probably is going to be running Restoration Angel. But, you know, still just getting bashed for 5 repeatedly. Not exactly what we want to have happen here, so. Jace. And I just F6 there, so we could have drawn cards off the charm. Let's see. Hopefully draw into something here. We're in a pretty rough spot right now just because we really need some way to kind of get past him. Armor's a good start. So let's see, we're 4-4 first strike and 3-4, which is still good enough. Yeah, that's fine. Unfortunately, we do need to go after Jace at this point. Here we could run out the other Inquisitor. Honestly, with Jace, it's really not that helpful. I mean, he's just going to make him very small. Then if he has, you know, Supreme Verdict or another Terminus, he just blows us out. I think we're already behind, so we kind of have to be a little bit more aggressive here. This also stops the swing back. And then now he's just looking for Angel. Or Sphinx's Revelation. And there's Angel. Which is pretty rough. So game 1 against Bant can be pretty disheartening. Post board though, I'll be very interested to see kind of how it plays out. That definitely helps. Unfortunately, bring back Thragtusk is just not what we want to see here, but we are at 15. We are going to need to get our guys back eventually. Oof, this is rough. Now he has access to Garruk also. This is probably going to be game over at this point. It's pretty hard for us to come back out of this. And unfortunately, we kind of got to play our hand out here because we're so far behind. So now he draws 5? Yeah. That's frightening. Yuck. So we can Suicide Geist to take out Garruk. They're both frightening right now, but I think Garruk is a little bit worse. But I mean, I think we're pretty much just done here. We're so overpowered at this point. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Okay, so going into game 2, let's take a look here. Okay, I think our plan is to bring in 3 Pacifism and 3 Nevermore, cutting the Knights of Glory and the Sensory Deprivations. He's going to bring in Centaur Healer, probably Geist to blank our Geists, and so we're going to be looking at using Nevermore on Terminus for his Planeswalkers. I think that's the plan. Ugh. Just need action. And we need land. So I'm gonna have to go to 5. Luckily he went to 5 also. The other creature that's pretty weak here is Inquisitor. He really doesn't do much against either Centaur Healer, Angel, or Thragtusk, so we can probably cut him. Just kind of a little bit rushed there, but I think we just want to jam Geist and just start bashing. Now we've got to guess if he has Supreme Verdict or if he has Terminus. My assumption is going to be running more copies of Terminus, so we're going to go for Nevermore and Terminus here. And hopefully that'll work out. We can also just Nevermore his Thragtusk. And now we've got an extra turn. But that opens us up to Terminus on the following turn. So since we do have the pacifism here, it's kind of tough. I'm not really sure what to call here. I think we Nevermore Thragtusk, actually. Might be crazy, might be wrong, but I think it's the play. This way, if we draw an enchantment next turn, he's pretty much dead. And he's got Verdict. Well, it was worth a shot. But the good news is now that we have our guys down the yard, he still can't play Thragtusk. And he gets the Sphinx's Revelation for 2. Sure. No real point in playing pacifism here. We can just DT it if it gets out of hand. Just need action. Okay, so now we can drop Geist, lose it to Terminus, or we can Nevermore for Terminus here. He could have Angel. I think we do actually want to go ahead and drop Nevermore. Well, problem is he's got DT as well. He almost certainly has at least one Terminus at this point. I think it's worth running out of Nevermore for Terminus. Problem is if he has DT, then he can just get both of ours. It's probably should have played the Geist actually, come to think of it. And he almost certainly has Syncopate for our creature here. I think we gotta push for it. Or he can just blank with his own Geist. The real problem is I have no idea how many verdicts this deck runs. I mean, there's different versions that run different copies of verdicts in different amounts. Okay, there we go. There's our money card. Guess he's got 4 verdicts in his deck instead. Now we're pretty much just getting outdrawn. This is the kind of situation where I'd prefer to have Evolving Wilds. And Sphinx's Revelation is just going to own us here. And pretty much put us out of the game. Yep. But the nice thing is that Nevermore for Thragtusk is really a pretty viable plan. And that's going to do it. We're pretty much done at this point. A little bit too far behind. So, kind of coming off that, I guess they run more Verdict than Terminus. I mean, I guess they run both, but Nevermore seems like a very, very strong card for us in that kind of matchup. Looking at our board options, I still think cutting Night of Glory is fine. Well, we might want to, I guess, up the creature count. I mean, Deprivation doesn't do much. Bonds of Faith is fine. I guess Azorius Charm really is not exactly what we want there. It's pretty bad against Thragtusk. So if we cut this, bring in Nevermore. Actually, Rest in Peace is decent against Band even with Angel, just by recurring all of his nonsense. Still, I think Pacifism might be a little bit better. Let's see. I like Curiosity, Nevermore, and then maybe just keep in as many creatures as possible. Bring in the Pacifism. Kind of run it like that. leave the knights in, cut these 8, bring in the extra knight. Yeah, I'm just not sure here. We want to make sure we have enough pacifism effects, but at the same time have enough creatures, so it's kind of a balancing act.